Hello, hello. I need to stop singing today. I'm not a vocalist. I don't know what I'm thinking. So anyway, happy almost lunar eclipse in Taurus. Exact tomorrow. Hi, Celeste. I'm so sorry I'm a minute late. The Capricorn moon in me, I want to crawl into a hole and never be seen again. Hold on a minute. Live with Celeste in 4, 3, 2, 1. Almost here. Hold on a minute. Hold on. I hear her. Hi, Celeste.
Hi, Colin. How are you today?
I am so much better because I'm talking to you. It would not be a big Taurus transit without seeing your beautiful face. I'm so honored to be with you.
Oh, me too. I'm so looking forward to this.
Me
I'm
too.
excited.
We planned this, my gosh, almost 2 months ago. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's been many weeks in the making. So how are you feeling in the midst of the pre-exact lunar eclipse energy? What's coming up for you? How are you? Let's just start with an emotional temp check.
Yeah, so I am feeling pretty good. What's so
Excellent.
interesting is that um, about 2 weeks ago, Uranus was exactly on my sun. And around that time, I was feeling a lot of nervous energy and
Of course.
it was unsettling.
Okay.
And yeah, and now I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good.
This week has been so busy, and
In a good
yeah, it's
way, a
been
complicated
wild.
way? What kind of way?
And like it's like this is the third conversation I'm having. I've been on two podcasts. I'm
Oh,
talking to you. I'm
booked,
like,
busy, blessed, on a tour. She is
yeah,
going. Okay.
yeah. So it's really wonderful. And the eclipse falls in my 11th house. So yeah, I'm.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and
Mhm.
maybe I could be your 11th house moment. So, Celeste, somebody had asked if you could say your big three, and maybe for people who are just meeting you for the first time, which is a shocker because you are the resident Taurus here. Okay. Do you just mind introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your astrology?
Yeah, so I'm Celeste Brooks. I'm an astrologer, coach, and intuitive. I am a Taurus sun,
Yeah, you
Aries
are.
moon, and Cancer rising.
Oh, that's
And
right.
yeah, and so my background is that I spent over 25 years in corporate America. And yeah, astrology found me and changed my life, and it was my
Oh,
purpose. And so I retired from corporate in May, and now I'm a full-time astrologer. I do readings, I do coaching,
that's
and
right.
I do events. So if you're looking for a fun event, I can help you with that as well. Teaching classes. So I'll be teaching my Moon Mastery again at the beginning of the year. So sign up for
Oh,
my
perfect time.
newsletter
Well,
if you'd
yes.
like to know. Be in the know.
Yes. Sign up for Celeste newsletter. And also, I want to sign up for whatever business gave you those glasses because I'm obsessed.
Oh, thank you, thank you. This is We Love Eyes. I
Oh,
think. Wait, no, LA Works. Oh Lord,
oh, that's
LA
okay.
Works.
the,
I'll put it
the
in the
irony.
comments.
I love it. You look amazing. Okay, so
Thank
everybody,
you.
this is Celeste. Now, because we are in, just the pre-energy of the lunar eclipse in Taurus, what are you thinking and feeling and hoping that the people can take away from your Taurus sun wisdom?
So the big thing I'm thinking about this eclipse, the number one thing, there are like three or four things that I
Oh,
have about this eclipse. But the
okay.
number one is it's the first one on the Scorpio and Taurus axis.
Right.
And so right now the nodes are still in Gemini and Sag, but they're going to be switching in January. So I think this is
Mm,
giving us a preview of what is coming for us in our lives in terms of how we feel about our resources, about our self-worth, about our personal power, about how intimacy and themes on this axis. Oh, my eye is watering. Sorry, Colin.
no,
Yeah.
no, don't apologize. It's
So
okay.
yeah, really stay present for themes that come up around these two
Hmm.
archetypes, as well as which houses they're hitting in your chart.
Okay, noted. And those words, self-worth, resources, let us know in the comment section if this is something that you're thinking about, because I'm sure you are. I know I sure the hell am. Okay. So,
Yes.
and can you, for people who maybe, I always try to scan the room for learning and make sure we're not talking above anybody's
Hmm.
access point here. How would you even begin to situate the Taurus Scorpio nodal axis? Maybe we can just start there.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
I call it the access of pleasure, power, and resources. So pleasure.
Pleasure, power, resources. Po, po, po. All right. I love it.
The triple P.
Yeah, right. I love it. I love it. Okay. Pleasure, power, resources. Love it. Continue.
So we think about Taurus, and Taurus is all about enjoying the five senses, that tactile feeling. It's ruled by Venus. So like the simple pleasures of eating wonderful food, having like fine fabrics on your skin and things like that, just being out in nature to me is like very Taurus about the pleasure principle. And then with
Janet Jackson's a Taurus. I'm sorry, you said it. I had to just be like, footnote. Go ahead. Yes, yes.
And then Scorpio is all about, in my opinion, scorching it up between the sheets. So like that real intimacy and just that kind of physical pleasure. So that's the
baby.
Pleasure, the pleasure principle. And then power. Scorpio is about being comfortable with your power. It's ruled by Pluto, the planet that rules power. And about shared resources, wealth. People with strong Pluto or strong eighth houses have the ability to really build wealth or be associated with people who have powerful positions. So I think of it about power. And then for Taurus, it's about your personal power in order for you to build your own resources. The second house is all about what you bring to yourself. And in today's world, it's like about your salary and things like that. Your salary, your income, and all of that stuff. So that's how you power. Do you have any other thoughts on power? I'm sure you do.
I know. Well, I want you to do the lion's share of the speaking just because you're a Taurus sun, but because one of my, I'm just a Taurus midheaven. I can't say shit about this. I'm surrounded by Taurus though. I'm very, very lucky. I have an amazing Taurus big brother who's like legitimately one of my best friends, and he's like a heterosexual Long Island meathead, and I just love him to death. So I love this energy. And I also just wanted to say around power and to your question that actually, and Bethany had asked the question, the North Node is going to enter Taurus in January. It's currently in Gemini at 1 degrees, okay? And it'll reverse to 29 Taurus, like January 5th? It's like the first few days?
18th.
Okay, thank you for that fact check. And then just around Taurus Scorpio and power, I love to define power the way that Dr. Martin Luther King did in 1968 at, I think it was a sanitation strike. And he said that it is the ability to achieve purpose and affect change. So,
perfect. I love that because Scorpio's about transformation, and I love that.
And power is, I just taught on power dynamics actually at an NCGR lecture. And, most of us are indoctrinated, maybe even sometimes practice the power over dynamic structures, right? Which is really a false belief, folks, that power is finite, needs to be hoarded and defended. And we can see the effects of that. And also power over dynamics implies nostalgia and idealization around facts, right? So I thought that was super powerful. And it is centrally mobilized by fear, right? Whereas generative power with dynamics are working from the premise that power grows stronger when it is shared and is meant to be collaborative, right? And we get information from multiple sources. We do not necessarily need to go into agreement or disagreement. We are just connecting and collaborating. And that power, generative power within allows us to feel like we have this second house power. Then we have power to do what? Power to transform, power to change, power to apologize, power to quit a job of 25 years in corporate America and start a business, okay? Power to. And then we have power with, which is sharing power with others, because everybody wins if, a rising tide raises all ships, the whole thing. So that's my quick little review on power. I don't know if that makes sense.
I love that, Colin. And yes, the ability to share power is the highest evolution, I think, of the Scorpio archetype. Yeah.
Yes, I just got chills.
Self-confidence in order to do so, to have that understanding of your own value and not be threatened by someone else's in order to really share properly. Yeah.
Yes, because when we believe in scarcity and power over dynamics, people, that's where we go, right? This resources are finite, opportunities are finite, not necessarily. So would you say, this is a whole new whoa, would you say that self-worth is a Taurus ruled concept? Is that
Yeah.
what oh, okay. Say more
Yes.
about that, because I'm in the
Yes.
company of a Taurus, baby. Tell me everything.
Yeah, so Taurus rules our self-worth. Venus is all about worth. People with strong Venus placements can feel very good about their self-worth, but if it's what's called, I don't like to use words like afflicted, but
Yeah, I
I
know what you mean.
guess, yeah, but like Saturn Venus, sometimes a hard aspect
Mm,
between Saturn Venus can indicate someone
mm,
has some feelings around their own worth, their own value, and
mm.
things like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is so, I had all these notes prepared, and now you just took me in a whole new Gemini direction, and I love you for this. What do you think self-worth and power is? I mean, how would we even
Mhm.
attempt to situate that working definition? Because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Celeste, and if others want to tell me, a lot of us have language for what power isn't, and what,
Mhm.
healthy, grounded self-confidence isn't, grandiosity, narcissism,
Mhm.
competition, la, 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 la. And I'm glad. But also, we don't really have a lot of generative language for what grounded confidence and generative power within is. So then, how would we situate that? Would you like to help us attempt to do that?
Yeah, well, so
Aries
it's so
moon, too.
intriguing. It's
Right.
like I'm like, is this my Aries moon or is this my
I know.
Taurus?
Well, hey, integration, not alternation. It's both. What?
It
Come on.
is. Yeah. So like it's like such a combination for
I
me.
know.
It's like knowing once you know your worth, you're able to ask for what you desire, whether it's from other people, whether it's from yourself, whether it's from your higher power, and feel like you deserve it. And to
Mm.
me, that is like that confidence is a power, is a
Oh.
personal power. It's like power. It doesn't. No one else needs to be involved with you feeling your own sense of power about who you are and how you're valued. And
Mm.
yeah, and I'm
Mm.
recommending people write a love letter to themselves for this Taurus
Ah!
eclipse.
I love it. That's so smart. That's so
Just
smart. Go
just
ahead.
reminding yourself of your value. What are the wonderful things about yourself in terms
That
of
you
like when we're doing the
value.
shadow work of Scorpio season and looking at,
Yeah.
the uncomfortable parts of ourselves, we should look at how we shine as well.
Okay, because we got to balance that shit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, this is so good. And now around self-worth and groundedness, I just want to scan the comment section, and I'd love for folks to tell us, is this a topic that you feel you have a good grip on? Let us know. Do you feel that in this moment you have a firm grip on self-worth and grounded confidence? Yes or no? And if not, would you like us to workshop that with you? Because I think this is really powerful. So I really appreciate you, Celeste, bringing this up. And while I'm scanning the comment section, Celeste, okay, someone just said no. Thank you for the honesty, and no shame, no
Mhm.
judgment, only grace. Okay, someone said yes. All right, we got a good yes. All right, we're doing some. Okay. Celeste, how did you cultivate the self-worth to like give the middle finger to corporate America and start your own? Like, how did that work for you? Oh, we got some good yeses here. I'm just
And
curious. Go ahead.
and it's like I don't wake up every day feeling
Yeah.
confident and whatnot. And there is a lot of I have Saturn on my sun. Someone mentioned
Mm,
having that Saturn opposite your sun,
mm,
and yeah, I think that has one of the
mm,
things the Saturn on my sun in Taurus has done is for pushed me to focus on mastery of things so that I feel like I understand them, so that I feel like what I'm saying, I have not that I don't make mistakes and stuff, but what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying
mm-hmm,
um, is of worth.
mm,
And yeah, so building self-confidence through mastery is something I have done personally, but also through yeah, through excelling at things or through just
mm.
being a kind person
I
is something you should have. Knowing
Yes.
that you're there for people is something that should give you some self-confidence. Knowing that you're loved
Oh,
because of what you offer. There's so much in, and we can look at all 12 houses to think about like what
totally.
are the things in each of the houses, that
Mm.
you bring your worth to in a positive way, that you can do that in terms of your love letter. Yes.
You know what? And I so love that you made it a balance of individual competency and
Mm-hmm.
also the way that we are loved and loving towards other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I think that's where the vast majority of sometimes shaky self-worth can be, is that
Mm-hmm.
I know at the end of the day, I love hard and I'll
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes and shit happens, but I am loved and loving, period. You know?
Yes, and looking at when you scan back to your relationships that maybe failed,
Mm,
rather than thinking about, feeling of them as though a failure, thinking of them as part of your evolution, thinking about
yes,
what you learned, how you grew,
yes,
yeah, how
yes.
you've been, better going forward, or how you've been more successful in things going forward. Look at this life as, these incremental improvements for
Mm.
yourself.
Oh, I love that. And
Yeah.
people are really appreciating the love letter, Celeste. This is
Mhm.
really good. Okay. So, and that's what a homework assignment to generate more self-worth. Do you have any prompts or anything that people should pay attention to
Yes,
around
so
that?
on my wall, if everybody followed me and see on my wall, I had 4 prompts, and one was about,
Oh,
and this was for Scorpio season, practicing the art of seduction, and like just really doing that. So whether you're in a relationship or whether you're single and like just want to
mm,
smile at, a handsome or a beautiful person,
right.
or you want to surprise your lover or your husband,
Ooh,
whatever, your
ooh,
wife,
ooh. Right,
whatever, with some
right.
like just some unexpected passion and romance. That was one of my things for Scorpio season.
Mm,
For this lunar eclipse, I also talk about, really looking at your intimacy, your relationship with intimacy, being
yes,
comfortable being emotionally naked, not just,
yes.
sexually naked, as well as Fifth Harmony's Worth It is the song
I
of
saw that
eclipse
yesterday.
season.
Yes, go ahead. What? And that song inspires you to feel more Taurus Scorpio, like I'm worth it, baby, right? Give it
Mm-hmm,
to me, I'm
mm-hmm,
worth it. Isn't that how it
mm-hmm.
goes? I think.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm worth it. I'm worth it.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
And so
Yeah,
is
one of
everybody
my
watching.
followers, Jenny, did a video singing to it, so you can
Did
see
she?
that in my stories. I loved it.
I love
Yes,
it.
I did.
And I love that you're like Taurus teaching through music, like
Yeah.
using the senses and everything. Oh, I love that.
You can not feel bad about yourself while you are really dancing and feeling
Oh,
that song and just
I
watching
actually
that
heard,
video. I love that video too.
get me energy. I heard that like dancing is one of the few physical activities that you can do and feel sad concurrently. So
Mm-hmm.
like when we want to connect to joy and pleasure and eroticism and we're ready, like dancing is one of the quickest ways to do that. It's not a vehicle, of course, to like disengage and deny emotion, but I love that you were talking about like dancing as like an accelerator for pleasure and joy. And I dated a Taurus, and let me tell you right now, he was amazing at like generating erotic and romantic spaces. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you're just a masterpiece. The lighting, the music, the food, everything. I was like, I have so much to learn from you. So I just wanted to say, leave it to a Taurus with a capital T. Okay. So, all right, we have those prompts for sending love to ourselves. And I know you said there were 4 other, I think that was one thing. Were there other things you wanted to make sure that we knew for this eclipse?
Yes, the second thing is that Mars is opposite Uranus.
Okay.
Mars in Scorpio, opposite Uranus and Taurus. And I've been
Got it.
talking to my followers about subterfuge, was just a feeling I really got around this whole season. So
Mm.
watching out for, keeping yourself safe. There's like this
Mm.
big story, to bring up something that's really unfortunate, is that it was in the news yesterday about this woman who got, all the details aren't clear, but it sounds like she
Mm.
was drugged. It's some model in LA was drugged,
Oh my God.
and her friend is in a coma. She died, and yeah, so this like people slipping things into people's drinks and things like that. I mean, this is ugly, but I think it's important for people to keep themselves safe. I
Mm.
noticed when I have this citizen alert, and there was all kinds of wild stuff yesterday when Uranus and Mars were the opposition perfected. So I think in our own lives, this is really about watching our emotions, not being careful with what we say and what we do. And since in the U.S., Thanksgiving is coming up next week, that we really want to remember how much we love our friends and family and not focus on the things about them that we don't like, so that we can avoid arguments. Because Mars opposite Uranus on the high road can be about like these amazing insights that inspire you to take action. But it can also be about sudden events that come up. And there's just a lot of underlying intense energy. So I just think we really need to be aware of that.
I'm so glad you said that. Palo Santo Queen, who I absolutely love, has said, I do feel a certain sense of energy regarding my safety. Celeste, you are on point. Do you have any advice for folks to understand the distinction between fear and legitimate danger? Because I think we're so collapsed in so many ways, which makes sense. You know, no shame, no judgment, only grace. But I'm just wondering, do you have any kind of Taurus ruled, this is danger, this is fear, lay down the law? How would you help others, you know, kind of understand that distinction around safety?
Yeah, this is really something I have to work with, especially my progressed moon went into Pisces a couple of months ago. And it started like all of this, I don't even know what to call it, where I started going into all of this, like such sensitivity that I was letting it lead into some kind of fears response. So I think we have to remember to think about what is real versus what is not let our imagination run away with us. And how can we stay safe? Staying safe is like when you're walking around, paying attention to where you are, who's around you, not getting so involved on talking on the phone or these sorts of things that you're not aware. So keeping awareness is something we can do. Just simple things. I mean, making sure, you know, we lock our corridors, lock our house doors, stuff like that, because crime is rising with, you know, the pandemic, and people are getting desperate, and just watching our surroundings, staying safe, watching how we interact with others. I think something to do, because people are struggling. A lot of people have had all sorts of things happen in terms of losing their jobs, losing their families, giving other people grace, and not necessarily, if someone says something to you sideways, don't come back to something to the left, and then you're, next thing you know, blah blah.
All right.
It's exploded. So I
been
think
there.
Being a leader yourself and taking the high road with others can help you stay safe as well.
Yes, and Grace was an important conversation I had with one of our loved ones, Kirsten Powers, right?
Yes,
so
I love
Grace,
her.
I love her too, right? And she's working this shit out too as best as we can. I really love that you're situating positive assumptions, positive regard, and leading with positive intent. I think that is such a challenge for so many people who have experienced trauma, who don't occupy very privileged and entitled identities, to even have a framework and a mindset that wants to lead with positive regard when they live in realities, because of internal and external systems, of such danger and oppression and scarcity and lack and fear. So it's extremely hard, and also it's extremely necessary. I don't know.
It is.
You know? And that's why I pray real hard just before I leave my house, and I have my keys in my hand with the primary thing right between if I'm not feeling safe, so I could pow. So, all right.
I recommend people do not mess with Colin on
the
streets of Long Island.
No. Okay, especially because I got my keys in my hand, and I'll bust your ass with my forerunner keys, and it's not going to be good for you anyway. So everybody walk out with your keys in your hand just in case you need a weapon, but pray the whole time. Oh, okay.
I carry it when I walk my dog. Yes, I do.
Stop! You know what? You know you're from Jersey, Long Island when it's like, what's the weapon you leave with the house? I'm done. I'm fucking done. Okay? So you could be a little rough and tumble and still be in the spiritual community, let me tell you right now. Okay? So I need to get a stun gun. That'll be the next one. All right. So thank you for that nuance around fear versus danger. And I appreciate it so much. So we covered that point. Was there more you wanted to say about that before we go to our third point?
No, the next point. So Venus is in Capricorn and she is sextiling almost to the degree Mars and Scorpio. And
Okay.
Venus and I think Capricorn and Scorpio, I think of that as like the CEO energy
Oh,
and Venus is trining Uranus. So I just think like this is a great time for people to release things because it's a lunar eclipse, which is a release
mm,
anything that is holding them back to
mm.
be, you know, who they want in their life or their career and things like that. You can really get a lot of energy to make some changes with this. And
Okay.
Venus is going to be a Capricorn until March. And she's
March
going to
6th.
retrograde and she's going to meet Pluto, dance with Pluto. So really a wonderful time to like think about feminine energy and feminine
Mm.
power and that yin
Mm.
principle of what do you want to draw to you as well? What do you want to magnetize in
Yes.
terms of all these things we're talking about?
That's great. Yeah, and I've just been teaching on Venus and Capricorn, reminding us the certain skills that are required for the healthiest relationships. I just, oh my God, I wish I can be responsible for like educating and onboarding, you know, the vast majority of people to relational health and relational success because we just didn't get that training. And, you know, that's what I love about Venus and Capricorn energy too, is it just reminds us like, well, these are skills that we can cultivate and let's try really hard to know what they are in the environment of relating. Or
Yeah. Could we have stable relationships?
yes,
Yeah.
please. And can
Yeah.
we move from stable ambiguity, which seems to be very in vogue these days, and move to are we agreeing to be together or not? Like, what's this talking phase? There's nothing to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. Either we're
Mm-hmm.
together or not. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not relating to that any or anything. So, anyway, that's the third point. Is there more you want to say about that, Celeste?
Yeah, no, I think that's just a great opportunity to really lean into that sextile. Sextiles are opportunities.
Mm,
So opportunity to synthesize that yin and yang principle in
mm,
order to like build material things in your life is what I'm liking
mm.
for that.
I love it. And I also love they always come with points and bullet points. I love it. That's a Taurus, you know? Like I'm not talking off the top of my head. All right. I got bullet points. I got
I have been thinking about
methods.
this
Right.
eclipse for months.
I love it. I love your zodiac sign. I really do. I just want to show some more love to that. Like seriously, Celeste. And I know the people watching here would totally agree. You radiate. I'm gonna say this like a sense of unconditional love. Like you are just
Aw.
so loving and sweet and brilliant and kind and funny. And I feel like you don't take yourself too seriously. Like you just have such radiant Taurian Venus energy. And I'm feeling very much in love with all my Taurus friends this week. I'm like, where would I be without them?
Oh, thank you, Colin. And yes,
It's
I
true.
don't take myself too
You
seriously.
know,
And I remember like
it's beautiful.
in my first job, a woman like was criticizing me. She was like, "You don't take yourself so seriously,
Right.
do
And it's
you?"
like,
And it's
you
like,
do? That's why no one wants to be
no,
around
I
you.
don't.
Right. No, you don't. And it like, but you know what's really beautiful? There is a quality around that where, because you do have so much levity, you speak into a listening where people feel relaxed. They feel like they can laugh with you. And I know that we both have Gemini in our chart. What I loved about the eclipses in Gemini, just to bring this up relatively disconnectedly, was that it made me think about the value of spiritual levity because in some indigenous spaces and comparative cultures, there was this idea that one could not pray or begin a serious conversation unless the jester, the performer, the comedian began because they believed you could not pray unless you laughed first.
Ah,
And they believed you could not think critically unless you were relaxed. And that's where the comedian, the jester, or the person who doesn't take themselves too seriously kind of contributes.
I love that. I love
You
that.
know?
I mean, yeah, and like even when things are difficult, like laughing through the pain is something that I've always embraced.
And you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe this is very Taurian because, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Taurus can have gallows humor sometimes. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you did not just say that joke right now in the middle of this. They do. They do. They make me laugh all the time. They make me laugh all the time. They're not just what the universe puts forward as like lazy, unmovable, and no, 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 no. I love my Taurians. Okay. Do you have any more to say about that third point before we go to the fourth?
Yeah, the fourth. Oh, it actually has 5 points. But
Oh, good. The five, please. We got time. We got time.
So the fourth is that this the Taurus moon is what's called parallel, which is like a conjunction. They're at the same declination as the fixed star Arcturus, which is the star of the farmer who begins to hunt. It's about making big, like, paradigm shifts for people. And a lot of people are in this pandemic having to make big changes because their skills or what they were doing is no longer suited to them or what have you. So I think there's a lot of energy here to release anything that's holding you back, to make like the Saturn Uranus square, like you can make big changes and big like shifts that you would have never thought possible 2 years ago, especially for people in their careers who have to in order to, you know, in order to like get enough income to survive. There's energy for this.
100%. Oh, that's great. And you made me want to think about how maybe, because this was something that apparently the students in my workshop appreciated, do we want to just review the fact that we had eclipses on the Taurus Scorpio axis from November 6th, 2012 to October, what was it, 28th, 2014? Do you think maybe we should just kind of situate that? Do you have anything to say about almost going back before we go ahead?
I like to go back to the Metonic cycle of 2002.
I don't even know what that is. Okay, so, tell me all about. Oh, was that the last time the North Node was
every 19 years.
Right.
It's a cycle. There are like 5 eclipses that hit at the same degree every 19 years. So in November 20th of 2002, there was an eclipse at 27 Taurus. So I want you to think about what was going on in your life then. Okay. Really take some time to look at it and see what like rhymes with what's happening now. Yeah.
Rhymes with, that is such a beautiful prompt, Celeste. And also, I love that again, this is called a Taurus teacher. All right, everybody? We got methods. We got names. We got systems, techniques, and processes. Okay? So I love this. I love it. Okay, I'll think about that. 2002. You got it.
Yeah. And we can think about 2012 too. That was a tough one.
You know what? It really was. Can you repeat the dates again for us one more time? Somebody had asked.
November 20th, 2002 was the eclipse at the same point in your chart. But there's something else called the Acero cycle. So there's a different energies, but there's something that should rhyme or some kind of parallel should be going on in your life right now. You see that about the baby. Someone
That's
had their
wild.
first baby back then.
Yeah. I love that our cancer ancestors were like, oh my God, a baby.
So elevated. No, you're not pregnant now, but think about what is going on in your baby's life. Are they like getting their first?
How old are they now? 19?
Are they getting their first serious girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that? Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it may not be you. It could also be people, really close to you who are having things. Thank you, Elevated Vibes, for putting that date there.
Yeah, thank you. And the opposite eclipse energy, but on the Taurus Scorpio axis, was 9 years later, 2012, November 6th to early November to late October 2014. Was the last of the Taurus Scorpio eclipses. And that was absolutely the most transformative 2 years of my entire life.
Really? Me too.
You too?
I got divorced.
Oh, shit.
So that's so 9 years ago was when the South Node was a nodal opposition. So the South Node, which can take things away, was in Taurus, and the North Node was in Scorpio.
And of course, end of relationship, figuring out like abuses of relationships. Wow. Okay. Wow. And
it was for my highest good, but it was
evidently
it was a little bit of a rough period. Yeah. So the North Node comes back to where it was every 19 years, and then 9 years late. Every 9 years, the nodes are in the same sign, but they're flipped.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So, right, because what Celeste is saying is that in 2002, the North Node was in Taurus then. in 2012 to 2014, the North Node was in Scorpio, Taurus's polar opposite. And now we're back at the North Node in Taurus 19 years later. And people are actually noting, this is powerful, the connection between Britney's movie Crossroads and her recent liberation. Free Britney!
Yes, it's
Britney's
wonderful
free.
that she is free now. And one of
I
the things I
know.
said is like really looking for powerful women in the news around this time, because the eclipse is conjunct the fixed star Algol. Algol is at 26 degrees of Taurus. This eclipse is at 27 degrees of Taurus. And this star is like the most feared star in the heavens. From, you know, all kinds of ancient cultures gave negative connotations to this, about it can be connected to like catastrophe and stuff, but it's really about the divine feminine, about men's fear of women's power and intensity. And yeah, so like in Talmudic law, it was Lilith. And Lilith was Adam's first wife, who left him, and
you love this story.
She would not be submissive. So really look in the news about women who will not be submissive, and about how there is intensity against them. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a great example. But
another Aries moon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but in the Greek mythology, the constellation Perseus, and Perseus is the one, he was a prince who cut off Medusa's head, and he's holding in the sky Medusa's head, and Algol is in Medusa's head, so it's Medusa. And yeah, I talked a lot about this in my lunar eclipse webinar on YouTube. You can watch it. It's called Dangerous Beauty. And so as well, talking about that. And Medusa had been this beautiful woman who angered Athena, the goddess of wisdom, by breaking her celibacy. So again, trying to control women's autonomy, women's sexual, liberation. She had an affair, or what have you, with Poseidon, or maybe he forced himself on her. I don't know about all that.
Right.
This.
I don't know about all that, but this is what I heard.
She had the affair, and so she was turned into this hideous monster. And if you looked upon her face, you would turn to stone. So bringing that, and it's the beheading star. So wrapping this all together.
No, I love it. I love it.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Yes. There was this other congressperson, Paul Gosar.
Yeah. Yep.
Who had his staff put together this anime where it showed him beheading her and like killing her essentially. And Congress yesterday, so I think that's so related to Algol. This happened just recently. Yes. Congress yesterday beheaded him by taking him off his committees. So yeah, so people who are in different countries, sorry, AOC is a congressperson here who has gotten all this ire from conservative men. And one of my followers said they're angry because they want her, but they can't have her because she's beautiful and what have you.
And brilliant, and takes no prisoners. Wow. Yeah. Yep. She is a congresswoman from the great city of New York, baby. Queen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that's an example about a woman with power who men fear and are constantly like projecting these negative things on it. And yes, someone said they thought Medusa was raped. I think, they're different myths. So maybe she was. Athena did use her head as a weapon. So, and Perseus as well, after he cut her head off, he used it to turn his enemies into stone. So yeah, it's like this dual nature to the symbology of Medusa as being someone for protection, as well as, having this power to turn people to stone.
And you're getting so much positive feedback about this. So do you want to just tell the folks once again where they can find your webinar on this, Dangerous Beauty?
Yes, it's on my YouTube channel, Astrology by Celeste. And you can just go to the link in my bio and watch it.
Amazing. And I would actually love, just because it seems like this is landing really specifically.
Yeah.
Celeste, do you?
Oh, there's two more examples in the news I want to give.
Oh, say it. Then go ahead.
So there is Kamala Harris, the vice president. There's a lot of news about how maybe Joe Biden, whose sun is at 27 Scorpio, so he's being eclipsed. So one to watch. Is not happy with, well, both of their poll numbers are shrinking. And so talking about potentially avenues to replace her, like putting her on the Supreme Court or stuff like that. Now, this is just in the news. Nothing has really happened, but that to me is like a figurative. We look for these things to be figurative, like a figurative beheading of Kamala Harris. So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you're going to like the last one.
What is it?
It is Taylor Swift.
What about her? I never heard about her. What?
So Taylor Swift's, her ascendant is at 25 degrees of Scorpio, putting her descendant, so the point of the partner, at 25 degrees of Taurus, right next to Algol, which is at 26. So I think it explains a lot about her intensity, her passion around relationships. So go back and watch her video, Blank Space. This is a Scorpio rising with a descendant on Algol. Wow. And this Monday, she dropped this new song. Oh, shoot, I should have written down what it was.
Oh, is it called All Too Well, the 10-minute version?
No, not that one. It's about I Know You Think About Me.
I Know You Think About Me. Yes. With what's his fucking face? I forgot his name. He's a big deal.
Miles Teller is in the video.
Whatever. Yeah, okay.
But it's all about Jake Gyllenhaal. And she goes in on him with talking about how he like made her feel small, or about being snobbish, about, you know, how he like, she goes, watch that video. It's amazing. And it's produced, the director was Blake Lively.
Yes,
so
Virgo friends.
This is like two powerful women coming together. 10 years after she dated this man for 3 months.
Really though.
Still dragging him and figuratively beheading him in the public. So you know he's voting, bring it off the hook.
Right. I feel really bad for Jake's publicists. I really do. I am not. They're having a tough time right now. Yeah. And you know what's wild too is that album, the one that she redid, Red.
Yeah, the re-release. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out just before the Taurus Scorpio eclipse. It came out on October 27th, 2012. For the record, folks, I am a humongous Taylor Swift fan, and Red album it's my favorite. It got me through the worst 2 years of my life. I'm just gonna be so real with you. And she redid it during just before the same eclipse. I'm like, Taylor, what are you doing? What astrology are you talking to? This is amazing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, I'm very proud of her. I think she's killing it.
Yeah, and it's so good. Yeah.
Ugh, I know. And I didn't know she was a Scorpio rising. I just learned that this week.
Scorpio rising. Yes, she is, with Mars in the first house. Don't let the pretty package fool you. She is someone to be reckoned with. I would not cross her. No, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. And I also wouldn't do anything where she couldn't, where she'll tell the truth. She's a Sag sun. Forget it. Cancer moon too.
Sagittarius.
So she's got just such beautiful expression, and everyone is on the hunt for Taylor's missing scarf.
Yes, I love the missing scarf. And so in this video,
the missing scarf.
There are all these
oh my God.
All these Easter eggs, I think they're called. Like there's a red scarf in the video, and there are all these things that reference back to her other videos. Yeah. She's wearing these fierce red outfits that to me really speak to all this Algol energy and this like feminine power.
Yes, red. Best red. Just phenomenal. I love Taylor. I'm gonna stop because I have to focus. Was there more you wanted to say about her?
Oh no, and she's got a Cancer moon.
I know.
In the 8th house. So I mean, she loves hard.
I know
Yes,
she
she loves
does.
hard, she loves deeply, and she does not go quietly.
Nope, not a Scorpio rising. No, ma'am. We're two-thirds opposite signs, and it's funny we have square descendants. So she's a Sag Sun, Cancer Moon. I'm a Gemini Sun, Capricorn Moon. So when I listen to her music and I just really situate how she makes meaning, it's so different than the way I would have done it, but it's just so inspirational for me. I have loved her for years. She is extraordinary.
Yeah, and
Stop.
Adele also,
Here's
her
another
album is
Taurus.
launching tomorrow.
That's
Hello to the
right.
Taurus. And yeah, she did this big concert and she had Saturn earrings. So go
Oh,
look at
I
a picture of
know.
her. So her album is 30 and 30 is the Saturn return. So I thought that, well, 29 is the Saturn return approximately. But she wrote the album during her Saturn return when she went through a divorce, which is a very Saturn return thing. This is when big things happen in our lives that force us to, really grow into a deeper level of maturity. So, yeah.
And a Saturn tattoo. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
She's
So
going
she
hard for
knows her
Saturn.
astrology. Yes, she
Yeah,
does.
yeah, she does. I know she mentioned it actually in like her album announcement that a friend just said, "It's your Saturn return, honey. So just fuck it up." Basically, was what someone told her, and I love it. She is a Taurus Sun, a Sagittarius Moon. I do not know her rising sign though, so
You know what? I don't have her chart right in front of
maybe
me.
it's Capricorn, hence Saturn, hence, and also kind of why she takes forever to release new music.
She really, yeah.
She takes her sweet ass time, and good for you, Adele. All right, you can't rush the process.
She is the queen. She does. We are on her time.
Right.
She is not on ours. No, she is not.
No. Wait, you know what? Okay, really fast. But I'm also dying right now because you and I shit talk and just like shoot the shit like such New York, New Jersey girls. I'm dying. I am dying. I feel like I'm right at home. I love it. I love it. Was that the fourth point? Was there more you wanted to say about that?
No, I think that's it. But just keep present for about powerful women in the news. What is their stories? Figurative beheadings. Where people so keep that in mind during this eclipse season. Yeah.
Yes.
And understand that adds to the intensity. Being near this fixed star adds to the intensity. So it's extra. Mel says down with the patriarchy.
I love them. Yes, for real. And hello, United Kingdom. So what else was that? Okay, so we have a fifth point, right? Because I wanted to ask you another question, but I want to honor where you're at in the exploration. Go ahead.
Those were my big things about the eclipse, and I'm loving all these comments about
I know.
Athena and Algol and different layers to the myth than I've heard before.
Yeah, and keep. Oh, go ahead. What?
I've got some homework for people as well. I am reading Scarcity, the book by Madeline Miller, and it was a bestseller, and it's about Circe the sorceress, who and it's a Greek mythology.
Yeah, back to
so Odysseus, when he was on his journey, she was the one who turned his men into pigs, male chauvinist pig. Yeah.
That's my kind of girl. All right, go ahead.
So she's a powerful person who was a powerful woman. I suggest reading this book. It's part of the Astrology by Celeste book club, I guess, because it's the first book I'm reading for pleasure. It's so fun. It gets into all the Greek mythology, and you see right now she's been talking to Hermes, Mercury. So you probably like that part.
Yes, I would. Can you spell the title?
Circe, Circe.
Great. Sunchild, I can't pronounce that. Just wrote it. So amazing. Circe. Amazing. Thank you. Well, great. Because we have about 10 minutes before we bring on our third guest, because what we wanted to make sure that we did was also kind of discuss a very Uranus and Taurus concept around financial access, especially for folks who are disabled. And we're going to have a really interesting conversation with one of my friends and clients named Jess. They are brilliant, wonderful. Jess was on my Instagram Live last June when we talked about pride and accessibility for queer disabled folks. So we're going to have that conversation from 1 to 1:30, just around ways in which people who are in business and et cetera, people who are business owners or anybody who's just participating in the economy, which is most of us, right, would want to think about financial systems and making sure that it doesn't lock people who are disabled out of participating in our work. So that's at the top of the next hour, okay? But first, can I just ask, Celeste, what would you say to people? Because folks were really reflecting on this, right? Jeremy Slantos has been amazing about it. So thank you, Jeremy, about your mythological reflections. For women, gender nonconforming folks, queer, trans, anybody who's not basically a cis male, right?
Uh-huh.
What advice and feedback would you give them for recognizing that, yes, there are unfortunate systems and powers and oppressors that be that want to behead the strength, the feminine, and we have to acknowledge and name it. Unfortunately, we don't want to normalize it. But what sort of advice would you give for people existing in those spaces to not let that stop them from being brave or speaking the truth or expressing their power, declaring a boundary, saying, go fuck yourself? Like, what kind of advice would you give?
Well, I would not recommend telling your boss to go fuck himself.
Damn!
But
that's right. Listen to Celeste.
How can you survive and thrive in spite of the fact that, life is not fair. There are systems of power. There are people who try to cling to power and that disadvantages others or is repressive and oppressive on others. But how can you, decolonize your mind? Yes, Sarah.
Right.
Yeah. How can you not let it hold you back? I think the worst thing people can feel is that because of X, I can't do Y. How do you have that attitude of watch me? That's me. Watch me.
Oh, fuck yeah.
What people tell you can or you cannot do.
And we're watching.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about that. We are in the United States of America. For a lot of us here, I'm sure we have international people as well. But you can be who you want to be. You can be successful despite these things. It just may be harder. Like some people are just handed things, which can be really enraging.
Absolutely.
But, how can we work with our own karma to thrive?
And maybe
the concept of thriving, and how can we support others?
Absolutely.
Who are, if you see an injustice, say something. I think it's a good thing to do. Yeah, especially if you're someone who's privileged, but for whatever reason, there are all kinds of privilege. Yeah.
This is great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you have any more to say about that?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I got lost in reading.
That's okay. Yeah.
I wish we could doubt. There's so many wonderful comments.
No, I know. And what the fuck with Mel just said, I'd say you have to acknowledge the systems were not built for us, and knowing that gives you the power to do shit differently than what they tell you. Yeah, just exit the system. Yeah, and support others.
I cannot tell you how many people have told me I couldn't do X, Y, or Z. And I said, oh, really?
Your Aries moon is on fire, baby. Fire. I love it. And Taurus sun too. Like, what are you talking about? Right. No, I know. I love it. I love it. This is so good. This is so good. Well, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, because I think that people can find your story remarkably instructive. And also, I keep telling everybody, like, I'm just so proud of you, because I cannot imagine for a Taurus sun how emotionally challenging it must have been to leave the comfort of a 25-year stint in corporate America and rely on economic security and just say, you know what, I'm going to be really brave and totally pivot and do this differently. Like, when I think of like the highest expression of a Taurus who can take risk in the security of wanting to live a life that they dream of, I do think of you.
Oh, thank you, Colin.
100%.
I thank Uranus, because it really is the great awakener. And Uranus transits are not something to necessarily fear. If you are listening and if you are clued in, they can really transform your life for the better, even though it may be scary. And so this did not happen overnight.
Nope.
It was a big transition, a big, slow transition. And there was a lot of decolonizing my mind. Astro Auntie Sarah's here, and she's the one who taught me that phrase. And it's really about how can you how can you like pull out, and Taurus eclipse is a great thing to do, to release that old stories you've been told about what you can and what you can't do, or
Yes.
what you have the power to do. So yeah, and I
Yes.
also thank you, Colin. You have been so supportive of me. I reached out to you and you said yes.
Oh,
And,
of
and I'm so,
course.
so thankful for you. It's
Of
been just so
course.
wonderful. Yes.
Oh.
And the tarot lady is here as well.
Yeah,
Hi,
Teresa.
Teresa.
Speaking of
Love
powerful women
her.
that
Yes.
that don't fucking take any prisoners, Teresa Reed, everybody. Right? I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so good. Then you know what? Could I just be like a corny Gemini and read a passage of a book that like has really inspired me this week around
Please
Taurus?
do.
Okay, hold on. Hold please. So since we're on a book club moment, everybody, okay? This work, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. Have you read it, Celeste?
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh my word. So I was in the virtual sessions last November 2020 that Esther Perel gave around forbidden conversations, death, sex, and money. And I really didn't want to go to the money one because I'm like, this is boring. And then I went and it was actually this author right here, Lynn Twist, who specializes in framing our relationship with money from a really spiritual and generative metaphysical space. So I was like, all right, let me give this a try. And then last summer, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. Yep. And then last summer, when I was going through a really big transiting 12th house moment, and I was just reframing, who am I? What's my value? What am I doing? This book found me, and I'm going to say it actually changed my life. I'm not even being corny and dramatic here. And she defines sufficiency as the opposite of scarcity. So scarcity culture wants you, me, and everybody watching to believe that who we are, what we're doing, what we're making is not enough, right? So that's scarcity, not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so many visual cues about that the minute we leave, right? So sufficiency is the opposite. And I'm just going to read really quickly what sufficiency is, okay? So by sufficiency, I don't mean a quantity of anything. Sufficiency isn't 2 steps up from poverty or 1 step short of abundance. Sufficiency isn't an amount at all. It is an experience, a context we generate, a declaration, a knowing that there is enough and that we are enough. When we live in the context of sufficiency, we find a natural freedom and integrity. We engage in life from a sense of our own wholeness rather than a desperate longing to be complete. We feel naturally called to share the resources that flow through our lives, our time, our money, our wisdom, our energy, at whatever level those resources flow, to serve our highest commitments. And in the context of sufficiency and the flow of resources to and through and from us, our soul and money interests merge together to create a rich, satisfying, and meaningful life.
I love that. That is so beautiful. You know what? I am going to get that
Done.
book on Audible because
Yes.
that is something I always have to remind myself. I have enough. I've
You are,
always had enough.
yes.
Don't get into scarcity consciousness.
No.
That is something I can fall into.
All of
Yeah.
us. I know. And we all do because it's the system we live in. Sufficiency
Mhm.
doesn't mean we shouldn't strive or aspire, folks, right? Sufficiency is an act of generating, distinguishing, making known to ourselves the power and presence of our existing resources and our inner resources. Sufficiency is a context we bring forth from within that reminds us that if we look around us and within ourselves, we will find what we need. There will always be enough.
Yes, I love that. I
The
love it.
Soul
Love
of Money by Pisces Lynn Twist, everybody.
it.
Okay?
I am
So,
getting that book. Yes, I am.
please, and then we could start our own book club around it because it's just transformed the way I think about finances, resources, sufficiency, everything. Yep, The Soul of Money by Lynn
Yes.
Twist, transforming your relationship with money and life. There will always be, and that's big Taurus energy. When I am around them, like you, like my brother, like my friends, I feel like I'm enough. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than with me, believe it or not. And there's this quality of just them making me feel like I'm enough and that my value is right in front of me. And I feel so valued by Taurus. And I think that's the gift of like sufficiency. We're enough. Other people are enough. What we're doing is enough. Let's keep generating that context. And Taurus does teach me how to do that.
Ah, love that.
It's true.
Love
I
that.
just wish we were
I'd love
neighbors
to
somewhere.
do any book club show with you
We're doing it.
whenever.
We're doing it, okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of club, everybody, we're at the top of the next hour. So I'm really glad that we now have a different context around money because we're going to bring Jess on. Hopefully, Jess is here and knows what to do in a minute. So, Jess, if you can, send me a request so you can hop on in because we're going to talk about financial accessibility and sufficiency in a different context. So we'll stand by on that. And let me make sure, hold on a minute here. I actually might be able to just give it to Jess. Let's see, is she here yet? Oh, there, here we go. Okay, just sent it. Jess, I just sent it. So let's see what happens. Hold on a minute. Up. Hold on. Going live. I wish I had like a producer or something. I hit accept, so hopefully this works. I mean, we've done about 3 ways before. We've done like 3 conversations before.
Here they go.
There's Jess. Hi, Jess. How are you? Hold on. Jess is getting situated here. Everybody. Oh, Jess left, but Jess will come back. Jess will come back. So I will wait for Jess's third contact request because, yeah, what we wanted to make sure that we did today was discuss exactly how online entrepreneurs and other economic systems actually make it very difficult for people who are disabled and others who have, I guess you could say, like socialized economic support, for lack of a more nuanced and distinct word, to be a part and participate in a lot of online spaces because they ask for credit cards and they ask for all these things. And there's all these little like nuances around that. So I wanted Jess to speak, just accepted the live request. I wanted Jess to speak on that for us, just so that we could have a real clear understanding. Hey, Jess.
Hello.
Hello, my friend. Would you just like to introduce yourself to the people real quick and tell us what we're going to talk about? You look lovely, by the way, Libra Rising. Who are you?
I set up this whole scene.
I love it, giving us color. Jess, go ahead. Introduce yourself to us.
Also, hi, Celeste.
Hi, Jess. So nice to meet you.
My name is Jess. I also go by Squirrel of Mystery.
That's right.
Yeah, I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And it's as beautiful here as it looks in Long Island this morning. Also, what's with all the music videos lately?
I just feel it's Taurus energy. I really clearly, I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling the disco. Okay, so you're having a beautiful full day up there.
I am.
Good. And what would you like to talk about with us today, Jess?
Well, I took a lot of notes while you guys were chatting. Thank you for that. That was a really great conversation, including how many times has Colin said levity, which was 4.
Okay.
I love the word levity.
Me too. I know you're a Gemini when you're like, can we just get a little light, please? Come on. All right, go ahead.
I also really appreciated the whole trip through Greek mythology. That was incredible. But yeah, I really like how you situated the conversation within the Taurus and Scorpio spectrum, connecting it to money, because one of the things, as of jumping off quite from where you left the conversation, I was thinking about is Colin, you and I talked about this a bit when we hung out, but like how I sometimes get frustrated with the imaginative space of astrology when it kind of gets really limited when we talk about money as a sort of like an expectation that astrology will serve us to know like when we're going to be wealthy, and then wealth is interpreted as such an individualistic system and not something that we actively participate in assembling. And I still haven't read that book that you recommended on the soul of money, but I was just thinking as you shared that wonderful quote of how scarcity, like the other side of this idea that scarcity is a mentality, when we think of how economic systems globally have produced what we understand to be disability, folks that cannot work, and a system that requires working, that scarcity itself produces hoarding. I don't know if you would agree with that, but the idea that
yes, I would.
That this all that informs each other. And so I wrote down scarcity produces hoarding, and it robs the creativity of abundance. The idea of like when waiting for gifts and things to arrive and losing the opportunity of a more porous relationship to money. And then sometimes I've noticed that people don't even really understand that money is care. Like money becomes so abstract. Like, and we forget that money is what pays for food. Money is what gets us healthcare. Money isn't this benign thing. It has been like really far removed by such an accumulative system. And I don't know, I'm excited to talk to you both about ways in which moving away from a charity model, which is just a stopgap for what is, that
Yes.
mortifies how we already operate, but thinking about ways in our own practices to not only ask for what we are worth, like the Taurus mentality, but also the Scorpio side of that. Like, how do we interrupt systems of exchange for other people, and not doing it from a place of charity and looking good, but doing it because that's a part of the work, and we are receiving just as much as we're giving. But if folks want to hear more, like concrete applications to how that is involved with disability and access stuff, I can go there. But on a theoretical level, I think it's something that impacts like all of us, whether we're situated in the U.S. or global north, global south.
Most assuredly, Jess, most assuredly. So to try to summarize as best as I can, and please, interrupt as and when, but what we're trying to do here is now discuss the way that astrologers can contextualize and discuss money and finances from a more accessible, inclusive way. Is that right? Because you were saying that most of the context that you see out there is a little bit too relegated to individualistic wealth and abundance. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of harm done, and a huge disservice to people we share colonial state with, or municipal community with, where we don't learn how money is shared or not shared or withheld. Right, like getting to know what the welfare system is, getting to know what the social assistance support for disability is,
Yes.
knowing exactly what those numbers are, so that you can advocate from a place of knowing, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. Celeste, what do you think about these ideas around a lunar eclipse in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, and making sure that we talk about systems of money and generating money as care? Do you have any thoughts or reflections on that?
Yeah, I think that's great. It's like, because Uranus and Taurus, we are changing how resources are disseminated, and this whole, I love how you talked about scarcity and what that means, and about how work is so I don't know what the word is, not idealized, but it's given like so much value in our society, and there are people who literally cannot work necessarily because of disabilities and what have you.
Right.
And I'm really thought-provoking.
I'm curious, Celeste, like with the disruptions and the cause of the pandemic too, along with eclipse thoughts, like thinking about how that's like slowed a lot of things down in a way for people to kind of approach. Like, I think people started to see the fabric and the seams coming apart around, I think, what you're talking about, the idea that in order to have a good life, you have to earn a lot of money, because once you have a lot of money, then you can have a relationship, then you can have like proper healthcare, then you can have like things like therapy, like things that you kind of just should already be able to have along the way. The idea that crystallize it creates this like, okay, well, it's okay if I'm an asshole until I get to that point, but then once I'm at the point, life begins.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things I'm talking about, I think, is the message of this moving into the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, and the North Node in Taurus, is how can we release materialism and build new values about what really matters. And with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, really thinking about new ways of working throughout society and the collective, and making sure everyone has value, everyone has meaning. And I totally feel that. And as well as Yeah, how can we like limit and with Venus in Capricorn, really limit how we just spend frivolously and work on, things that have real value, considering the earth is like can't withstand all of this, massive consumerism and buying just for the point of buying. So there's so many things about what you're saying that really speak to where we are now in the collective.
I love this. I'm sorry. I'm in the presence of such brilliance, and the comments are so strong and supportive. I love this. So, to the question, Jess, around what you would like to see astrologers and anybody involved in this community address around money and work. What do you wish that we knew? So, you want us to get more familiar with the welfare state and I guess social support, right? Is there anything else that you want to make sure that astrologers know when we discuss economy, finances, etc.?
I think just a reminder, no matter what kind of work we do, that ideas of economy are not benign. Like,
good point.
These things have the tangibles, and a reminder to kind of always break things down and bring them back to the tangible. So, Colin, you and I have talked about what it means to offer sliding scale, or folks who are familiar with the idea of pay what you can, and the idea of that is to interrupt forcing someone to admit they can't pay for something and create a system that does that interrupting for people, and have it always be okay to show up and perhaps not be able to give an exchange
good point.
through money at a given time. That is something that can happen no matter what your position or job is. I find astrology and working in the arts have a lot of crossover in that
yes
regard. I think artists, similar to astrologers, sometimes think too that their jobs and their contributions are benign, that they don't involve resource extraction as well, and they don't that they are somehow removed from kind of economic responsibility we all share, and knowing that folks who are rejected from those systems bear the most, karmic weight of that, and thinking through those choices, right? Knowing that the choice to choose denial and the delusion that something is benign does have an output, and it may not be on your body, but it's on someone's body and several bodies. Not to get so serious about it.
No,
I think it's true.
I'm really glad you're saying it. And I think that's really important for us to keep in mind, is that it is going to impact people, and we need to be clear of these things. So do you have anything to ask about that, Celeste? I had a question, but I wanted to see if there was something you wanted to say first.
No, you go first.
Yeah, because I was curious about, so with this, like we talked about, sliding scale and pay what you earn. Could this also be scholarships and other, I don't even like that word, but just like, is that what it would be? Is it basically there should be very little, if any, financial barriers between students and teachers and practitioners of astrology?
I think capitalism has somehow started to co-opt access stuff, especially
of course
through the pandemic, especially with all these ways of gathering virtually have existed for a decade prior, but they were siloed into disability community for folks that needed them in order to attend things and gatherings from bed or from places of comfort. But the way things are kind of moving now is it still sort of enforces a policing on resource. So I don't know if folks know the term tragedy of the commons, with this imagined idea that if things are free, then everyone will take stuff, and things are not going to be properly managed and disseminated. It's
okay.
Could you repeat that? Tragedy of the what?
The commons. It's like an old political theory that you can't just let resources be free and openly shared, because one doesn't steal it all and try to sell it to other people. It's like, I think it's a kind of logic that keeps the capitalists alive in a lot of our bodies. They're like, well, yeah, free to a point. And honestly, it gives us a sense of desire to accumulate enough wealth so that we can be the arbiters of charity and feel good about it. Like, it's complicated, and so I think the way that plays out with respect to specifically disabled bodies is you feel the need. I love the part of the conversation where you both talk about decolonizing your mind, because I think it does instill in your body the need that you have to always be defending your right to have, you know, a piece of wealth. And by wealth, like, to remember that money is care, like healthcare is food. Like, these things are not, to want wealth is not a bad thing, nor is it a benign thing either. And to advocate to be fairly paid is a really hard thing for some bodies to do, especially racialized disabled bodies, for example, and having to find places where resource sharing can be just not, it's almost worse, not even the hoarding, but having to defend.
Yes.
One's right, you know, it's like that's almost the bigger soul murder than actually not having the wealth. It's then having to sell your trauma in order to then deserve a fraction of a piece of wealth, you know? Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think we don't think that those things are in our hands to talk about, or like, and we forget that we participate in them, you know, every day, in even the most minute ways. And like, yeah, I don't know. I'm really inspired by this chat, but also curious to know what both of you think about that concept, because I frankly don't necessarily see astrologers talk about money often in this way, like in a collective,
in this way,
in the
right.
way that you've set up. And Celeste, your background in corporate America fascinates me.
Yeah, no, this is so deep. I need to really think about this and unpack this. Yeah. So I feel like one of the things is I like to do when I do, and I'm having one on December 2nd, a free webinar where at the end I do hot takes on people's charts. So I invite people to email me if you are disabled and if you are, you know, have a resource limitations and you'd like a hot take on your chart during this webinar. I will I'll make sure to try to do you, because I do like to make sure to, you know, offer things at no charge, like my Instagram programs and whatnot, in order to serve people who necessarily can't afford things for whatever reason. But yeah, we do live in a society where we do need to have money in order to get ourselves these things, these healthcare and all of these different things. So yeah, tragedy of the commons. Is that right? I have to look that up.
Me too.
And read about that. But you get, like, this is some deep stuff that I will really be thinking about.
Yeah.
How
speaking of deep stuff, I did look up where my moon progression was. And you're gonna laugh because it's Scorpio.
That is so Scorpio. Yeah, a progressive moon in Scorpio. Really thinking about all of these things about power sharing, wealth sharing, hoarding, all of these things. Yeah.
It moved from Libra into Scorpio in July, end of July of 2020, which is really interesting because I did feel that internal shift. When I all of a sudden just hit this breaking point with the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. With trying to hold all this equanimity, like all these multiple relationships, and holding the collective and community. I was like, I want to go deep. And anyone else that's not along for the ride, whatever, I'll see them around. But like. It is an interesting reflection. And then I laughed when I found out that it happened and that it was Scorpio, because Scorpio would get the last laugh in that regard.
100%. Do you want to say more about that? Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, just the sex, death, and taxes aspect of Scorpio has never been of interest to me either. In part by being in a body that's been rejected by aspects of those systems. It's like the topic of money comes up and I just feel like tired. Like I want to take a nap, you know? And that doesn't really do anything except delay, you know, the Taurus gifts of like, no, get to know money, get to know your place in money, you know, you deserve money too. And not in a hustle way, but in a way that hits. That's hustle culture is a hard one to contend with because it's a mentality around money that does come from a good place of like get what's yours, but it is really ableist to think, okay, the only way to get what's mine is to overwork until I'm in pain, and I'm trying to keep up, and I'm trying to keep up with a system that wasn't made to consider like a necessary slowing down. And why can't you go slow? Like the Venus and Capricorn mentality. Like, why can't you take 10 years to write a new album and still get paid along the way? You know, like once I don't, yeah.
You know, yeah, I am in the process still of deprogramming myself because I have a South Node in Virgo in the 3rd house, and my like for most of my life, it has all been about that hustle. That is, you know, the mentality I was trained in through society, through culture. Work hard, then succeed and make money and da 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 da. And deprogramming myself, decolonizing my mind, Sarah, and
I'm also
Sarah,
doing the best
Sarah's
I can.
Astro Auntie, sorry.
Yeah, Sarah.
Who was one of my mentors in astrology school. Who,
we gotta bring Sarah on here.
Really drives that concept home. Is a work in progress, and to like have that paradigm shift. And I was talking about earlier how I can get into scarcity mindset and valuing using money or materialism as an arbitrary of people's value is something we really need to release in this Taurus lunar eclipse. It's a great time to release that.
And also, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say quickly, I think another book recommendation around this is called The System for American Readers by Robert Reich, who rigged it and how to fix it. Robert Reich was the Secretary of Labor, I want to say, during the Clinton administration, and he is an absolutely gifted commentator on the system. And basically, I love him too. Yeah. So he has basically argued that we can't talk about any of these conversations around economy without just understanding power. And that was the original topic, right? We started there, ability to achieve purpose and effectuate change. Thank you, MLK. And how do we frame power and wealth and worth in a different way? You know, so anything to share about that? Or did you want to say something separately, Jess? Because I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I can add on to that. I was going to say, so my North Node, as Colin knows, Celeste, is in Taurus, and my South Node is in Scorpio. So it's
nodal return, baby.
It's what we're talking about. I feel like it connects to what I guess wanted to offer today in terms of like, especially with language around self-care coming up a lot, and remembering that, you know, the purpose, I think the purpose behind the notion of self-care is to get to know oneself in order to know what those needs are and how to be in a space and how to share that with others, which is very Taurus, where the Scorpio side of the coin would be collective care and to like do the act of listening to what other people's selves need, so that like having for example, a really tangible aspect is relationships and related. So like knowing what the disabled people in your circle, community, what their bodies need through a trust and an intimacy over time, knows you can anticipate how to provide that care. And maybe not all the things all the time, because relationships don't work like that, but it's like dipping into that pool together where we can anticipate, you know, collective care, almost like a collective self-care, where we're all kind of sharing about our needs in a way that's decolonial, as opposed to prior to what my needs aren't being met. Like, well, it's amazing that like when two disabled people hang out, you know, I think a colonial logic would be that the access needs of both people kind of double, you know, so it's like two sets of access needs, when in fact my experience is that there become less needs because you're kind of looking out for each other. So it's like 1.5 people's needs instead of 2.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you've heard of the economy in disability community is referred to as spoons.
No.
So it came from an autistic blogger whose name I sadly don't remember because I was really young when I came across this blog, but it was somebody trying through neurodivergence, which for a lot of folks really abstract to understand. And Celeste, I know you know the term, Colin? But
I do, yes. Because
I've never heard the term.
My twin sister.
Please educate everyone.
Yep.
Neurodivergence is a newer term meant to include all sorts of folks who experience the world cognitively, whether on the autistic spectrum or living with ADHD. I have ADHD. And so to try and explain how one feels in the world, this person who lives with autism articulated a system called spoons. So on any given day, you wake up in the morning and you have a certain number of spoons as energy to kind of participate. And things that take energy are like making food, being social for some folks takes a lot of energy. And so it was a way to give people a tool to self-advocate in a moment that didn't have to be really didn't have to reveal anything too private, didn't have to involve too much, explanation. I think the example they gave was they were at a pool party and all their friends wanted them to come in the water, and they just didn't have the energy to do that, but they didn't want to be treated like they were harshing the vibe. And so they came up with a way to interrupt that shame and say, oh, I don't have enough spoons for that, but I'm good here on the side of the pool. And
I love that.
And so disabled people who often self-identify as spoonies, disabled people are fucking hilarious. Anyway.
Duh. Yeah. Go ahead.
It acknowledges that not everyone wakes up in the day with the same amount of spoons, and that goes for anybody, but like Colin, as your friend, I know that you're better in the mornings. I too am better in the mornings for particularly meetings or cerebral type chats. And so to take that back to collective care, if I wanted to have a chat with you, I would try to prioritize something in the morning as a way to kind of be mindful of that need that actually overlaps with my own. I feel like this economy of care is super connected to Taurus and Scorpio in a lot of ways, especially as you set it up, Celeste, with the erotic, the sensual. I've also dated a Taurus, and yes, they are great at that. I have never napped, eaten, or bathed so much in my life.
100%. Go ahead, sorry. Yep.
No, well, I love that. I wanted to say something about the energy. That I love that understanding, and for me, coming from that corporate America background, about how you're just supposed to just push through and do it and like pull up your bootstraps. I love the concept of understanding you have this much energy, it is limited, and this is something I'm really working on. And managing it for yourself. Yes. and understanding other people's limitations around what the energy that they have, whether they're disabled, whether they're just tired, whether they're just going through such difficult things with this this pandemic and what we're living through, and not even necessarily giving people grace, but honoring people's levels of energy, and that I love that to think about. I imagine
that's not very legible in corporate America.
Oh no, you're not allowed to say that. Or that. It's just like we'll get the energy.
I was like, anyone in this chat that's ever been.
That's why I'm no longer there.
I mean.
That's right.
But it's like if you've ever been broke and you're hanging out with your friend, the spoons analogy makes sense because you're literally just dumping all your dimes on the floor and trying to buy a bag of chips. Like, okay, how many spoons do we have? Okay, how many chips can we buy? But yeah, no, you make me quite Celeste about the pandemic. Another way to think about interrupting economic systems is like some people have the privilege and get paid to send a shit ton of emails. Other people, writing emails is really hard. And then to then just be the kind of person on email, like very Karen-esque, be like, as per my last email, and nothing starts with, how are you? How are you doing? Like, even if you do need to follow up with someone, it doesn't have to be so reprimanded. And we think those things are benign because professionalism, whiteness is accepted like that, but it doesn't have to be written that way. No. Like my email signature literally is a weird parentheses face and it says, what is time?
And Jess is a Pisces, folks. Jess is a Pisces. Okay.
Whatever.
Oh my God. I don't know if Instagram Live is going to kick us off because we just actually reached the 90 minutes. I don't,
Is
yeah.
Well, you're
This
going to save this, Colin, right?
Of course. Yes. No, this is going right down. And I just wanted to say too, Jess, the community of care and that analysis and spoons and time, energy, resources as connected to worth is phenomenal. And we are so, I speak for everybody here when I say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and being so open-hearted. And I love your progressive moon in Scorpio.
I love it too. Thank you for your wisdom, Jess.
Yes.
Really a lot to reflect on. I'm going to have to watch this back.
Me too. And I am definitely going to make sure that if there's an astrological organization or event that I'm working with, I will talk to the organizers and producers and bring everything that you mentioned to them and said, I'm not doing this unless this is here. So
yeah, right. Or even like start with a question which you're really good at. Like, how do you guys manage money with your conferences? And like, honestly, like when people get asked a question, it's really interesting to see what they say. Then you know, right. Then you know where the conversation started from, and you want to get it to, you know. Like,
oh my God, they'll just shut down. That's so true. And just for anybody watching here, I think it's also important to remember that there's a really phenomenal deaf and hard of hearing community of astrologers who are doing absolutely amazing work. I'm thinking of Vanessa, AstroWoke, Tate Tullier is doing amazing work there. So if anybody is doing astrology, like I just can't recommend enough, please pay the money to put subtitles on your videos. Mm-hmm. And do everything that you can to make sure that you have accessible content, because there's a wonderful group and community of astrologers who I love very much. And I just think it's important for us to remember that as well.
I really love that because whether people know this or not, I kind of mentioned it at one point, but the disabled and deaf community on the internet is kind of responsible for a lot of the platforms that you love and popularizing ways of connecting that we all relied upon in the pandemic. So it is a nice, like, massive respect to be able to speak out deaf and disabled astrologers and workers, because this is, you know, has been an opportunity in our community to share our gifts with people that all of a sudden wanted to connect this way with us, and to not leave us behind in that, you know.
And around neurodivergence as well, I just want to say thank you to my twin sister, Courtney, for teaching me about people experiencing life on the autism spectrum. My twin sister does this for a living, and she's absolutely amazing at it. And I've had great conversations with autistic clients about how they experience astrology and their social and emotional worlds differently. And it's just been phenomenally inspiring and contextualizing and challenging, you know, whenever I've made content about like mindfulness and paying attention. Yeah, for who, you know? So I've just learned so much, and I'm just so grateful. That's all I have to say. This has been amazing, and we need to do it again.
Absolutely.
Yay! Celeste, I'll thank you first because you started here. Celeste, on behalf of everybody, happy lunar eclipse in Taurus to you. You are so loved. You come up everywhere. Jess brought you up. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a live with Celeste, and you should come. Come over, right? That's literally how this started. So thank you for that. We love you so much. And Jess, I mean, God damn, your fucking wisdom, your sense of humor. You have just been a light in my life since the minute we started talking on Instagram, and I'm so grateful for you. And I have plenty of spoons now today because of you.
Yay! Watch the video I sent you.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I know you told me that. Okay, I'm going to go do that right now. Celeste, happy lunar eclipse in Taurus.
You too, Jess. Colin. Thank you so much. Thank you to the community for all the wonderful comments. Instagram, can't you let us save them and we watch them?
For real. I know. I wish we could bring everybody. We're all going to hang out. Everybody come over. I'm going to go put cookies in the oven right now, Mars and Cancer style. Let me know if there's any food allergies, and that's it. Okay? And I'll put this... Oh, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Can we tell people to come to ESAR in August?
Oh, shit. It's live now, isn't it? Yes, we can.
It's live in August, and Colin is going to be presenter. I am going. Yes, I am.
Oh, I know. I finally get to hug you. So we're gonna have an astrology conference, folks. Where in Colorado, right?
It's in Colorado in August. So if you're down for an astrology conference, that's the one to come to. There's so many amazing astrologers. Oh, and
amazing. And you're next. I'm like, I'm ready to quit so you can do it. I'm like, don't ask me. I'm sick and tired of talking. Get Celeste up there. All right. She does a much better job than me. All right. No, so I cannot wait for that. Good reminder. Thank you. And oh, this has been so lovely. Jess, thank you. Celeste, thank you. People
Thank you,
watching, thank
Jess.
you.
Thank
Happy
you so
lunar
much.
eclipse in Taurus. And we'll do this again, okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Yes,
Bye,
yes.
everybody. See you soon. Thank you. Love you. Happy eclipse.